All right, let's go.
Okay.
Cool. Hey, Ronnie.
How's it going?
Doing all right, man. Thanks for doing this with us. So my name is Abhi. I'm with HVAC 2.0, as you know, and I've talked to a couple of other folks in HVAC 2.0 in the past, just asking about, who they are, how they got here, and where they see themselves going with the HVAC 2.0 person. So I wanted to
Okay.
bring you on to talk about that as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ronnie. Who is Ronnie? Where is he from? What is he up to?
So yeah, my name's Ronnie Neal. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, basically. I live in the southern Indiana area, but we call it the sunny side of Louisville, basically the same thing. Um, I've been using HVAC 2.0 for about a year or two.
Yeah.
I'd say about 2 years now.
Mhm.
Um, I was brought on as like an apprentice under Jeff Howard originally, and he taught me a lot. A lot of the basically out in the field, blower door stuff, etc. Nothing that I'd ever done before. I do have a background in heating and cooling for about 20 years. That's all I've
Mm.
ever done.
Mhm.
I did it wrong for a long time, and I've always been the smartest guy in the room in most cases at the companies I worked for.
Mhm.
And then I met Jeff, and he was smarter than me. I didn't like that. So I basically started. He started mentoring me.
Hmm.
Fortunately for me, didn't he? I really didn't have to pay for that. I got paid to do that, which is
Hmm.
cool. Um, he helped me out big time. Duct pressure, a lot of stuff that I really never had fooled with before. Even though I used to engineer duct systems for companies. And then as I went through service, I met Ted. Ted helped me um, a lot with the way I talk to people. He helped me slow down, think about stuff a little bit. Um, he's been there for me personally and you know through
Professionally.
through my
Yeah.
work, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. And basically what's happened, I've moved into a sales position at the company I was working at
Yeah.
already.
Hmm.
uh, I'd say October, November last year is when I started. I've done pretty well in that position in terms of monthly income
Hmm.
versus and my yearly goal I've already met. Actually,
Hold on,
it's
hold
not
on. So
even July.
yeah, I was just going to say, so what is today? June 29th. So we're like a
Yep.
little over a halfway through the year, and you're saying you've met your annual sales targets already?
Yeah, it was, and I don't know if you want me to talk any numbers or not, but my annual sales target was,
We
yeah,
can
I've
get
already
into that.
met it.
Yeah.
So, but it was,
Okay.
they based it a little modestly, as it was my first year in the sales department. They put it at $1 million, so
Yeah.
I'm over $100,000 over that already.
Awesome,
And
man. So let me pause here for a quick second, okay? I just want to do a quick
okay,
recap, and then you tell me if I got this right. So
okay,
you're down in Indiana, is that right? And then you've been the smartest kid in the room for about 20 years. You've had a lot of experience doing HVAC, heating and cooling,
yep,
and you've been doing things a certain way, and you've been doing things the way that you used to doing. And then you met Jeff, and for folks who might not know, Jeff is also one of HVAC 2.0 contractors. He's been following the HVAC 2.0 process for a while, and then in the show notes we'll put up a link to Jeff's interview. But you met Jeff, and then you saw that he was doing things a bit differently, and you felt like maybe he was doing it better than you were used to doing. And so you mentored, or he mentored you, you worked with him. And then as a result of that, now you switched over a little bit to like a more of a sales position. And then now you
yep,
have, this is your first year in a kind of like moving a little bit away from a technical position to doing sales. And in the first year, they set a modest, a modest target of $1 million. And you've already hit that by the end of June. Is that sound about
yep.
right?
That sounds right. Yep, that's exactly
Okay,
right.
excellent.
Yep.
So let me ask you this then. So what was it about how Jeff was using the HVAC 2.0 process that really spoke to you or called to you? Because you've probably met other guys, at being a technical person, being like a really smart person in the room, you've probably
Yeah.
seen other salespeople, right? Like what was it about Jeff and his HVAC 2.0 approach that really pulled you in?
Well, what I really like is it's a sales process, but at the same time, you're using science and you're actually talking to the homeowner and what their problems are, and you're actually fixing or helping them achieve a goal and improving the comfort in their home or whatever their goal may be. Um, at the same time, I'm being paid pretty well to do it, so that's obviously important with the job. You want to be paid to do it, but at the same time, it's something I enjoy doing.
Mhm.
So, for instance, I seen Jeff, sharing all this information. He'd come, and do training, etc. The company I work for is in 3 states, and he would travel around to each individual branch and, share information, train, etc. And from the get go, uh, I just sensed that he was a very intelligent person, and not only was he doing a good job, but he was making good money doing it, and he was doing it better than I was doing it. So, you know, basically, it was different to me to have somebody to learn from.
Mhm.
And so basically, I got in touch with him, started talking to him every day. He started giving me, some pointers. Some of it I had to figure out on my own. Um, some of the meetings we have has been helpful. The Monday meetings with Nate and Ted and, Reedy and all the other guys that are, in having experiences with the same thing. Um, so basically, it started off with me just doing paid consults. That was it. And then moving into the sales position I'm in, part of that agreement was to give me some free quotes.
Mhm.
And at first it started off a little slow. They didn't really give me too many. And then I did really good on the ones that I did do. I've used the path A, not in its entirety, but I've asked all the questions. Um, People seem to react really well to the questions because I'm asking them information that other salespeople aren't asking them,
Mhm.
and it seems like that it makes it appear like I'm more qualified or know more about their home or system by asking these questions.
Got it.
And in the end, in most cases, um, people with a high comfort score, my intention is to try to convert them to, a comfort consult.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, that doesn't always happen. In most cases, it doesn't actually.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I'm already there, they're already set. They're like, hey, I'm ready to get some numbers, fix this problem as good as we can get it for now. So I'll ask the questions, I'll document the information. Some of them will let me test duct pressure, some won't. Sometimes I already know what it is if a technician has been there.
Yep.
Um, and in some cases, uh, they'll let me I'll go in and I'll take some measurements, and like the return drops wrong, I'll do like a bad or something with you know a mod and a heat pump in most cases. And
Yep.
then in some cases, we can go full electric. And I really don't like doing full electric conversions without testing houses.
Mhm.
Um, but ultimately, that's my goal is and I offer everybody an electrification
Mhm.
option,
Mhm.
whether it's like for like or not.
Yeah.
And in most cases where I'm at, that's not where they go. But I
Sure.
have had a lot of success this quarter. So March to now,
Yep.
I've sold over 30 inverter heat pumps. Um, I've sold some air conditioners too,
Yep.
which ultimately I offer both. Some people opt to go, you know, lower, in price rather than higher. But I am in the top five of the company selling
Excellent.
inverter equipment. Period.
So
So
Ronnie, let me ask you a question about like sheer numbers, right? So because you brought up
Okay.
You've sold 30 of these and this and that. But before, I want to just quickly recap and then move on to the question. So, and you tell me if I'm wrong. So what I'm hearing is that you're saying that what appealed to you about Jeff and HVAC 2.0 process was the fact that he was using really smart and technical methods, something that you, as someone who has been a technician for 20 years, appreciates, but doing that
Absolutely.
in a way that puts the homeowner in control of the decisions that they're making, and C, doing so in a way that helped him make more money while getting paid for using this process. And so that is what I'm hearing you said is what appealed to you most about this process compared to other sales. Because I imagine in the past 20 years, you've probably thought of getting into sales, but something's held you back. So these three things about the HVAC 2.0
Yep.
process is what helped you take that plunge. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause I've always looked at everything from like a technician standpoint,
Yeah.
that's the way I'm wired. And, I used to be the hero a lot, and I've stepped back a little bit, and rather than just going in and just, you know, giving my opinion and being the hero and doing this, that, and other, I'll listen to them, and I take data that I've gotten from their home, their equipment, etc., and I'll make, educated. I'll give them educated options basically to achieve their goals based on our conversations we had. At the same time, educating them that, you know, basic standard single stage equipment, it'll cool your house. But at the same time, if we don't want to test the home or whatever, sometimes I can just do like a multi-speed piece of equipment and take care of most of their issues. And then in the events that it doesn't, maybe I'll get a comfort consult out of that later.
So what you're saying is that when you show up to a homeowner's place, to a place in the past, there's a temptation to be like, I'm the expert, I'm here to fix all your problems. So there you're being the hero. Now you're saying with this process, you go there. And so it's like, you're trying to find out three things, right? So one, you're trying to find out like what first of all, what their issues are, what problems they're trying to solve or not. Then you're trying to figure out what the house needs. So you're saying like 1 stage, 5 stage, whatever. And then you're trying to figure out like what their budget is, and then trying to find a project, taking the overlap of these three things. And so this process is a little more clear for you to follow because you can do this repeatedly compared to like the previous thing where you're in there and you're like, I got this, people.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, the education that I'm giving them and the expertise based off data that we're getting, and good questions we're asking, good conversations we're having, is why I have a 59% close rate. On free quotes.
Wow,
which is
unheard of.
And this month I sold 251,000, and I haven't worked for the last 2 weeks other than doing basically pre-installs on stuff I've already sold.
Right.
And basically the way I look at it is, I overachieved my goal, etc. And to me, I feel like I'm kind of like been benched is what I'd like to say, which isn't necessarily, in my opinion, the right thing to do. But at the same time, I respect my manager, because she's really awesome. She's made some changes for me that's probably been impossible without her. Like I don't feel like I would get the opportunities in this company, given the way they've done everything. It's really hard to change the way a good oiled working machine. I mean, they're making, I'm sure, really, really good money. And why change anything if that's the case? And the influence of a manager and director in my department has really helped me move forward. And, to me, that's huge for a company the size that I work for. And then I have good people behind me in HVAC 2.0 educating me, helping me better myself, do what's better for the customer, help
Yeah.
them make better decisions, not make them for them, but educate them. And I believe that is why asking good questions, et cetera, has helped me move forward, the way I have in this
Yeah.
department. So,
So let's
which,
talk about numbers then, Ronnie. So you
okay.
you gave us a couple of numbers. So let's try to maybe contextualize each of them and then dig into them a little bit deeper, right? So you said you had your sales target for this year was $1 million. By end of
Okay.
June, you've already hit your $1 million target. Is that typical? How are you doing relative to other salespeople in your company, for example?
So in the Louisville market, I'm not 100% sure of other markets that our company works in. In the Louisville market, I'm number one.
Wow.
Um, and I've had half the leads the other salespeople have had. So for instance, this month I ran 30 sales leads
Mm,
with a $251,000 in sales.
yeah.
The closest one to me is, I think, I'm not going to say names, but technician had 47 yesterday,
Mhm.
and he was about 15,000 less than I.
Wow.
And only 3 of my leads this month are comfort consults. So it's not like that it's all, this is mostly free quotes.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a veteran sales guy in our department that has had twice the leads as I, and he's less than half the revenue this month. Again, nothing opposed to him or anything.
Hmm.
In terms of turnovers versus marketed, I'd say I'm about 50-50. So out of the 28 calls, 14 marketed, 14 turnover. They tend to give me more marketed leads versus turnovers because I'm good at converting them. Um, our company, they tend to say we're a touch higher on ductless systems than some competitors. So we don't sell a ton of ductless. So, but I do. I get quite a bit of people calling in saying they want to add like to their master bedroom a ductless. So I'll go give them a free quote, ask questions. Um, that basically takes responsibility away from me. I ask them what size they want. I usually give them what size they want. I do measure the room, etc., stuff like that.
Sure.
Um, but I have a pretty good success in selling that type of equipment as well.
So do you know numbers your closing ratio and average job size for like marketed leads versus not?
So most of my average sell is 13.5. That's my average sell
How does
of
that compare
everything
to?
combined together.
Okay.
A few of those are duct jobs,
Yeah.
which tend to be smaller than like equipment, etc., which bring my average down. I've had a few duct jobs this month, and most of my jobs tend to be 13 or more.
Okay. And how does that
Um,
compare to like the average job size for like a typical other salespeople?
Usually nine to 10
Okay.
for marketed.
Yeah.
And you know, marketed versus TO, really there's not much difference in job like price for me in
Mhm.
those jobs, because a lot of times I'm doing a lot of the same equipment. I feel like 90% of my houses are like 3-ton, 5-stage systems. That tends to be my go-to, but that's just, I guess, what's common in my area,
Mhm.
etc. But I do a lot of 3-ton, 5-stage. Done a couple green speed this month, just 2, and those are just homeowners that one of them wanted a tax incentive, is why they went up to the green speed. I By the way, I don't talk about tax incentives at all.
Yeah.
I don't like selling based on that. I don't like that. All that stuff is up and down and goes away. And if I build what I do around that, I'm not, for one, I'm not doing what's right for the people. And two, in 2 years, I'm not going to sell that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and I really want that type of equipment going in people's homes.
Yeah.
Not because I make more money off of it, because they're going to be more comfortable. They're going to be happier. They're going
Yep.
to give good references to friends, family, whatever,
Yep.
you know. So
Yep.
that's
So when you said you have 59% closing ratio for your what was it, free quotes, right? How does that compare with like a typical salesperson in your company?
average is 35%. That's our average number.
Okay,
So
so let me recap here real quick, okay? Because this is like, I think we need to.
well,
I need.
before we go there though, I
Yeah.
will tell you we do have one sales guy that is under 10% for the month, not the year, but the month. So
Okay.
there are some bad months.
Sure.
So an average sales guy, they want us to be, they would like it to be 40%. That would be
Yeah.
amazing on marketed
Mhm.
leads. 50% is what they would love on turnovers. And, you know, for the comfort consults, they want them above 50% as well.
Got it. Okay. So to recap, this is your first year in a sales role. You've already hit your sales target almost like half the year through. Your average closing ratios are at least about 80% better than the other average salespeople in your company. And your average like ticket sales is at least 50 or 60% better than what other people are doing
Yes, with higher margins.
with higher margins, right?
Yeah. My
So
average job margin size, I don't know if that
yeah,
we want that number, but that's
sure.
58%. That's
Wow,
my average.
right
And
on.
that's the good and the bad and the ugly all mixed together.
Yeah. And so then, I mean, this is not in particularly about your company or anything, because I think I understand what you're saying, because people look at you, right, in your company. There's other salespeople who are looking at you thinking, like, what is he doing that I should learn about, and how can I be more like Ronnie, right? So
Yeah.
what advice would you have for them?
And I don't even think it's necessarily more like Ronnie.
Mm,
It's just believing in a process and using it
yep.
and listening to your colleagues or that are willing to share information with you, that help coach you, and basically before HVAC 2.0, I don't feel like I would have been comfortable in this position, um, with the questions and a lot of the Sandler, and a lot of the information that I get, and ultimately my manager, because without her, I feel like I would be stuck in the back corner and getting the crumbs.
Yeah.
Is how I think it would work out. Um, but Rachel and and Lindsay, they've helped me out along. They've helped me out pretty good,
Mhm,
with opportunity in the company.
mhm,
But at the same time, I don't feel like I could have got that respect from them without using this process,
mhm.
or without, basically, you know, using the process that I use,
Yeah.
and feeling like it's just like part of what I do. Without
Yeah.
it, I don't feel like I could do my job.
No, I hear you, Ronnie. And I think to go back to what you were saying earlier, HVAC companies are used to doing business a certain way, and they make a lot of money doing business a certain way. And so what you're showing is that there is actually a better way to make even more money, and by using this process. But what you're saying is like these large HVAC companies are, it's like a large aircraft carrier, right? You can't suddenly turn
Yeah,
direction. It takes a while to shift course. And so it's like a two-step process. And so you're using a new process and you've demonstrated some capability, and then your managers are going to give you, it sounds like to me you're saying, they give you a little bit more responsibility, and then this is how you
yeah,
demonstrate more and more capabilities. Does that sound about right?
yeah. That's exactly right. And in terms of the money, that's second to me.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, my customers are super happy, or my clients, you know, the relationship I have with them versus just going in there and being like a car salesman and showing them what we got and just saying, which one do you want?
Yeah.
Um, you know, a lot of my clients, like later on, if they'll like text me and ask me questions about stuff, etc., and I respond to them, and you know, I've had a job or two that didn't go perfect, um, you know, and ultimately at the end, it was good because I was there, and it wasn't something that I necessarily messed up. It's just mistakes we made through install, etc. All companies have those problems,
Mm-hmm.
but we were there and we stood by what we said and what we did. And you know, that customer actually called in and sent messages and said, "Hey, you know, you know, with all the stuff that happened, it was still awesome because you know I had Ronnie to help me through it." So you know,
Got it.
that's, you know, and before, you know, I probably would have just got scared and been like, well, you know, probably just, you know, I don't know if I would have answered their questions
Mm-hmm.
the right way or dealt with them, or you
Mm-hmm.
know, any of that. So
Yeah.
but by doing that, gathering information, knowing about them, I'm more
Yep.
comfortable speaking with them.
Got it. And so, because the traditional relationship between like a salesperson in HVAC and a homeowner is that like it's a bit of a friction, right? Tension. Like homeowners don't tell you any information because they're worried that you will upsell them, and there's that dynamic. But what you're
Yeah,
saying is by using this process, you've developed a better relationship with clients, and that's actually helped when it comes to addressing some issues they may have, because like these things happen, right? These HVAC is a complicated piece of equipment, and it is a system that has to work with your home as a system, and so some things might not be perfect, but you can fix that. And so they've developed the confidence in you that you can address their issues and do this relationship you've had with the client. And these are like hard to quantify, right? Like numbers and closing ratios and this and that, you can math it out. But the feeling you get from working with people who like you and trust you and are willing to give you good reference and stuff, that's kind of hard to quantify, but that's the kind of stuff that I imagine gets you out of bed in the morning.
absolutely. You know, and like I've had customers, and I'm not bragging about like how great I am at selling stuff because that's not it.
Yeah.
Like I had a husband call me and say, "Hey, you know, we had such and such down the street give us a quote for $6,000 less than you." It's not the same, you know, quality of equipment and everything,
Yep.
but after the, you know, what we talked about and the information you shared and blah blah blah. And speaking to my wife, you know, my wife wants to go with you,
Yeah.
even though you know we're just basing this off information that in conversation we've had, but we just liked you better basically. So they're spending more money with me because they liked me
Man.
better. I mean, they were getting better equipment,
Sure.
and that's why the price was higher.
Hmm.
But at the same time, you know, that other company was all like, you know, anything over single stage equipment is not worth having. It's just more complicated and you're going to have more problems. And
Right. Because the other companies are competing on price, but what you're demonstrating is value.
absolutely.
Right.
So, and I'm not always the cheapest guy in town, and rarely I am ever the cheapest. But we're
Yeah.
not the most expensive either.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're a good value for what you're getting,
Mhm.
and you're going to get me. So
Yep.
that's
So, you sounds like to me, Ronnie, you took to HVAC 2.0 process like duck to water, right? Like it seemed like you just picked it up, and you had help from the community, of course, from HVAC 2.0. But is
yeah.
there like what skills and qualities do you think in technicians out there or salespeople out there need to have to kind of come into HVAC 2.0? Do you think there's anything about you that was useful, that really was useful in adapting to the HVAC 2.0 process?
I think a lot of people that are sales people or technicians could come in and do Path A or the free quote
Yep.
and have a lot of success with it, as long as they are comfortable with going in and asking the questions. Most salespeople are comfortable with that. Um, I feel like you could take this all the way down to your basic sales guy that has no experience or no natural sales ability. And I think it may not necessarily be the same across the board, but I believe it'll improve their numbers, period. I mean, there's no way it couldn't, because if you're following the process and asking the questions and doing what's right for the customer, there's going to be customers that are just going to naturally want to do business with you. So for me, with the blower door, that may be more of somebody with a technician background that is a salesperson. But the Path A, I think anybody could do it. That's a salesperson that's willing to listen and be coached, use Sandler, and just do what's right for the clients.
Right on. So where does Ronnie go from here after having a fantastic first half of the year, or first year? Like, what's going on with you in the next 5 years and beyond?
Well, hopefully, I'm pretty confident I'll do pretty well in the position I'm in. It'll continue to grow with time. I feel like my position in the company will get better because they seem to the respect's mutual. They're pretty good at letting me do what I need to do my job. At the same time, they want me to pursue using HVAC20 because they see that I've had a lot of success. And I'm not saying the best, and there's other guys that could probably use this that I work with that may even do better than I would.
Yeah.
They're just not doing it. So to me, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to try it. It's what I'm thinking. And hopefully in 5 years, I'll be doing $3 million a year easily. That's my goal. I said when I started working at this company in 2018, my goal was to make $150,000 a year, and for myself. And basically, I did that pretty quickly in the service department. And I don't feel like I'll have any trouble doing that, in the sales department either. But as soon as I get close to that goal, I'll increase it, and then I'll increase it because, goals are important to me. But at the same time, if I make them too easy to accomplish, then I get bored, and I feel like that I'll, kind of spin my wheels or whatever, and I'll just come to work and do my thing, and that's that. But if I increase my goals and have new goals and good people to coach me, then basically I'll stay hungry.
So what do you think it will take to go from 1 million a year to 3 million a year? Is it increasing the margins on each, or is it increasing the closing ratios, or is it getting more?
I think it's just more leads for me because I'm held back from the amount of leads that I get versus the other salespeople. So based on my contract, my salary is a little different than theirs because my job's not exactly the same. But at the same time, I do some of what they do as well. So for me, I felt like if I had more leads, then I would just sell more. It's not that I would have a lower close rate. More leads for me. So, I feel like I'll probably get like 2 to 250 a year, where the other guys get 500.
Got it. So tell me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is, you don't have to bust your behind for 20 hours a day. You just need to follow the same process you're on, and just get more leads and convert that into more leads. So in other words, as long as you stay with the process and help hone your skills and get better at using the process, you see yourself naturally hitting the 3 million, provided you're supported with some leads.
Absolutely. I don't see any reason I wouldn't be at 2 by the end of the year. If everything stays on track. Next month ought to be pretty good. So should be a record month for me, as this is my first year. So, but with the comfort consults, it's a little different. Like January, I did 250,000, which they thought was insane,
Mm-hmm.
which for my market, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, and
That
January
was
is a
that was
tight month through for a lot of families, right? So Christmas has come and gone, and money's tight.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Like my goal for that month was like 58K or something. You know what I mean? I did 250,
yeah,
um, and I'm not saying I'm like the best, and that's why I
sure.
did it, but I think it's just following the process and
Hmm.
doing what I've been trained to do with good people behind me, good management, etc.
Got it. That's most of the questions I had for you, Ronnie. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
I just want to add that basically, you know, if I wouldn't have seen HVAC 2.0, I think I'd still be a service technician at this company. I'd be struggling to meet my goals, um, and I ultimately wouldn't be happy with that.
Mm.
And I just want to thank, basically Jeff and Ted and Nate and all the guys, that have helped put this program together.
At
And
HVA
it just
at HVAC
at
2.0. Yeah.
HVAC 2.0. Yep.
Mhm.
And basically without 2.0, um, I feel like I would do half as well as I'm doing. I'd probably be another average sales guy.
Mhm.
Um, I naturally am pretty decent speaking to customers, etc. But without a process, I'm just another sales guy there,
Mhm.
selling a used car or something. That's
Mhm. Awesome. Thanks,
means a
Ronnie.
lot to me.
I
Thank
hope
you.
you have a, fun way of celebrating all your milestones, man. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I did buy a motorcycle,
Did
so
you really?
I
What'd you
did.
get?
I got a Harley Davidson.
Beautiful.
It's a Iron 883. It's not a big bike.
Sure.
But it is. I did make a little extra money. I needed to spend it on something. So,
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
it's something that I can go out and spend time with my dad. My dad likes to ride, so
Right on.
that's one of the main reasons why I got it. So,
Where are you guys
so
headed for your first big trip?
that is a good question. So he's older, so
Yep.
I don't know if we'll have a big trip, but we'll probably do some. I'm hoping this weekend we'll go cruising around a little bit and just
Yeah.
he, myself, and my brother.
Yeah.
And they all have Harleys too, so that's
Hey man, like Milwaukee is only like a day's ride away from you guys, right? They have a
yeah,
beautiful museum, like a Harley Davidson museum. I've been there
yep,
because I lived in Upper Peninsula. So not you've probably thought of this already, but just throwing that out there.
yep. I've been looking into it.
Awesome, man.